Hello, this is Chase Pounds. In today's video, is coinciding with the 4th of July holiday. I will kind of briefly discuss about the idea of being proud to be an American. Now, I have what brought me to the subject was after watching a segment of the nightly news, NBC's nightly news, and I was trying to pull up the video. I couldn't really find the video itself to, I guess, to refer back to, but this what kind of brought me to thinking about the subject that being proud to be an American was and this is mostly in the perspective of Democrats. It kind of varies based on I guess political party and racial, I guess, and male, I guess, sexual, I guess political background, racial background, as well as even based on sex and gender in some cases. And this is what it was on the segment of the nightly news. They had mentioned a black they had interviewed two people with different perspectives. One was a liberal white woman who thought that, in her opinion, that she's not very proud to be American. That she's not, I guess, happy about how our democracy is and how I guess the word I'm looking for, how our democracy is and how our government is working political system as well. On the other hand, was a black male who I think was identified as being Republican, thought that in his opinion that that everything in America was great, that everything was good. He had nothing really negative to say about the country, in spite of what the current state of the administration and government administration has been. Is most of you know, if you've been watching the news, about how current with this administration things have, in my opinion, this may be in other people's opinions, have been turned out for the best, and how I think we're going to step, in my opinion, we're going to step backwards. That we're, I think, are in for a rude awakening, and for more turmoil if nothing's being done to stop the state of this current administration, and how things how they let things go, how they've been letting things go too far like this. Is such as with immigration, issues with immigration, taxes, the economy, tariffs, race relations, the rhetoric of the current president, and so forth. And to some, it's a win, it's a victory. It's trying to make America better or great for the best. To others, it's a letdown. It's a setback. Making dividing us even more as a country, and making America look bad, and more, I guess, to some people perceived as being more I guess, kind of cocky, arrogant as a country we are. And just a lot of negative, I guess, associations with the United States itself. And there was this segment of Night News that got me thinking about what it means to be proud to be American. And personally, myself, and my own opinions, maybe think that how I describe myself as being proud to be American is, to an extent, I'm proud to be American to an extent, but I do agree there's things that we need to work on, and I'm not proud of things that occurred in the past. And knowing our history about certain acts that have occurred in our past, especially for people of color, that things haven't been the best for Black Americans, and it hasn't lived up to the uh, ideas of freedom and equality, going by what the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution meant was intended for. And I would say to an extent I'm proud to be American because I do have a little spirit of patriotism. Don't get me wrong. That especially when it comes to 4th of July, I do feel proud at times, especially if it was a nice 4th of July where I enjoy myself. I may indulge in the barbecue and the wear my red and watch the fireworks, and I feel a little patriotism. And this made me think about another video I'd seen where a girl had mentioned in her video, it was a documentary. It was on the subject. It was kind of, I was leaning towards him. I was kind of on the same page as I was. Where in her video she talks about I guess, can Black people be really proud of being Black American, and what does it mean to be Black and American? It goes forward and talk about Black Americana, Black culture, Americana, as well as the resurgence of cowboy western, American western. That's starting to see a resurgence, especially in the Black community after Beyonce's Cowboy Carter. She goes on to talk about Black people and cowboys, and the history of country music and the association with the Grand Ole Opry. It's started by a Black person, she said, and she goes in the end of her video. She talks about being probably Black American. Proud be American. She talks about how she revels in the 4th of July, in the spirit of the 4th of July. She revels in I guess picnics, fairs, fireworks, eating funnel cakes, and realizing that this holiday wasn't really meant for her, because it was really a time where celebrating 4th of July that people of color were still enslaved and didn't really have much rights. And I kind of think that this is a day that we shouldn't take for granted, and I agree with that too. And I feel like it's good to celebrate, but it is a holiday that wasn't really intended for us. It doesn't really represent us. It was really meant for, in a way, white Americans. And white Americans, prominent white men, who were running the country at that time. I should say, and while in my opinion, I think the holiday we should be celebrating more for, I guess, that really reflects our freedom, our own independence, is Juneteenth. I feel like Juneteenth is starting to get more, in recent years, it's starting to get more attention and more recognition. But when it comes to things like celebrating fireworks, we do more. In my opinion, I think we shoot off more fireworks on 4th of July than on Juneteenth. So it's starting to get that way a little bit, but still not the same as with 4th of July. But I just think it's not a big thing, but I think it's just something to think about and to not take for granted of that, and our legacy or history. And as I said, to an extent, I am proud to be American to some extent, but not that proud of things don't get me wrong, there's still things that need to be worked on, with our justice system, race relations, crime, or health care, so forth. The current state of administration, of course, and things like that. I'm not sure if it may sound complete with what I'm saying, but to the extent I feel proud to be American a little bit. I know my parents may my dad particularly may not feel it the same way, knowing our history and our history and culture, learning about events in the past, and learning how Black Americans were unfairly treated. That he may think otherwise about being proud to be American. Americans, especially now with the state of our politics now and who's in office now, you think otherwise. My mother may be neutral as well. I asked her this question before, and she says, about this concept about our state of America, and she thinks that being proud to be American, she may not be as good as other countries, but we have more freedom compared to other countries, and not under like as dictatorship or communism like other countries, perhaps. But that's all I have to say. And one thing I forgot to mention in my last video about the 1906 earthquake in my Juneteenth video was that about comparing the about what I was mentioning before about how blacks are I guess able to persevere through tough times. I was also even thinking about comparing this with the current events involving our own storm we had in my hometown, St. Louis, on May 16th, but how this storm affected blacks, but yet we persevered, and we're trying to, though we're still struggling to recover from the storm, but yet we made the best of it and tried to persevere, and we got relief and help and shelter to some extent, and and just kind of make me think about comparing. It just things seem similar with what my dad was saying about how blacks are able to persevere through tough times, and this is an example of that too. But that's all I had to say in this video. It's an interview by Chase Pounds. Stay tuned for my next video. Happy 4th of July.